Right. Oh, everybody wants to say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Everybody wants to talk.
Hey.
So, I mean, just doing a world tour, like, how did you feel finally perform your own music for all your fans?
It feels amazing, and I love that you asked that because we sold out every single show,
Yes.
and we've been able to, and I don't publicize like when I give to charity because that's not what it's for, but I'm proud we were able to give the proceeds, every single cent that from the tickets, the sales of the tickets to the show, we were able to give away, and I've been able to give away over $100,000 to 8 different charities, and it's like, that's because of the fans, that's because they came out, so I'm just grateful, man, so grateful.
Now, acting, directing now again this season, like, what can we expect from you? I know you're juggling so much.
Juggling so much, but this season, I just keep saying, I hope that people really like it as much as I enjoy making it, because I've always been proud, but I haven't been this excited and proud of Jamal's storyline probably since season 1. So this storyline means a lot, so much to me. It's gonna mean something to you too, and you'll see why. It's What's up, y'all?
And then our moderator's coming in hot to join in conversation. Content officer of Afropunk and founder of Native Sun.
Thank you, brother. How's everybody doing? How's it feel?
Amazing, because this is the best season since season 1. Yeah.
Wow.
Like that was great, but it's nothing to what we're able to do. I'm most excited about this season for sure. Yeah.
And so now you're directing too, right?
Yeah. I finished my 7th of 8th day of my episode directing at 1 a.m. this morning. Got on a plane and came here. So my last day is Monday.
So what is the difference between being the actor and being the director?
Power. Being the actor, I'm much more emotional, you know. I think with my heart, I'm like, this storyline isn't gonna resonate with people. And then, you know what I'm saying? I'm much more, I guess, open as far as, you know, and being a television director, specifically a television director, and you know, I have a little bit more power because I've been on the show all these years and I know these characters and I know these storylines like the back of my hand. But at the same time, their directing is a whole other beast. It's my favorite beast of all, though. So it's awesome.
What are the challenges as a director?
Taraji P. Henson. No, time management.
Yeah.
The toughest thing for me is directing myself. We're always like right on with you know, like I can handle directing everybody else, but directing myself just takes a little bit more time because like we have to have the playback there, and so you have to be aware of the time, just making sure that you know you're not taking up too much time. I know that that's like not a fun answer, but it's the true answer. Right? It's just you have to be aware of the time management.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to imagine, like, so you're directing, but then you're acting. So is it assistant directors that help you move through, or?
Yeah, like I have the greatest director of photography, Jody Williams, around. He was the DP on every single last one of my music videos that I did for my album, and I directed those. So we have such an amazing work relationship. And then he was a camera operator when we were doing that, and then he became the DP. So I'm so blessed to be able to work with someone that I've been working with all this time that I really trust. He keeps it all together for me, for sure.
So you come from a family of actors. So how did this happen? Like, how did your whole family become actors?
We wanted to be the Huxtables. It's true. We wanted to be the Huxtables. And my older sister Jazz, she would call up NBC and just annoy the operators. Like, these are people that answer the phone being like, NBC, how may I help you? And she's like, I want to be Ruby Spread. And she would do that all the time. And then my mother was like, no, you're not being in show business. But we lived here in New York. We're from Elmhurst, Queens. And shout out to Queens. I represent Queens. She was raised out in Brooklyn. And we would always be around around the city, and people would come up and be like, "Oh, your kids are cute. They should be models." And I was like, "Model? What kind? Model what?" But then we ended up doing it. I think it was halfway because it was something to do to keep us out of trouble, and halfway because we needed the money. And it became the family business, you know, it really did. And there's not a piece of me that like regrets being in the business as a kid, because I know that, you know, it taught me so much, and it's why I'm right here right now.
So from your sister calling NBC, like how's this work? Like, because there's how many? There's
6 of us.
6 of you.
Yeah. There was 4 of us at the time. There
Okay.
was JoJo, my older brother, who I just cast in an episode of my episode of Empire. And he hasn't been on screen in 20 years, so he's coming back with Empire. And my older sister, and it was me, and then my younger sister, Journey. So the 2 younger ones were not born yet. So it was just us. And I was like 4, Journey was like 8 months, and we became models. I think the first, and then we were doing like, I remember we were in Lenny Kravitz's very first video for Let Love Rule. And because Lisa Bonet saw us and was like, I want them in the video. So, you know, and Hallmark commercials. And then we moved to LA when I was 8, and I did the Mighty Ducks and, you know, North and all of those things. And then we had our own show when I was 10 or 11. And then I got out of the, on our own. And then I got out of the business when bitch ass ABC canceled us.
He can say because he's on Fox.
I can say that. But I love Blackfish and Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder.
Okay.
So there's that. Yeah, I got out of it for a minute because I wanted to do music. I wanted to be normal, and I wasn't like this cute little kid anymore, but I wasn't a teenager yet. I wasn't a leading man. And I just started honing my craft as a musician and a songwriter, and that was the thing that I could do whenever, no matter what job I had. You know, if you have time to brush your teeth or go to the bathroom, you have time to write a song.
Right.
You know, so that's, and then.
So you started songwriting when you were a teenager?
I've been songwriting, as far as I remember, since I was like 7 years old. My older sister Jazz and I, we used to take like Janet Jackson songs, and we would take the melody and we would just write words over her melody. We were so raggedy. We wouldn't even change the melody. We would steal that woman's melody, like, and just go with it. And so that's where I learned to write songs.
And I've heard you say that when you talk about your family, you also love the sound of music.
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
We thought we were the Von Trapps growing up.
Right.
And my mother, I always say, is a cross. She gets so annoyed with me when I say this, but whatever, it's true. She ain't here. It's going through. Sorry about it. She's like a cross between Cookie Line and Fraulein Maria. She is. So we used to walk around singing and you know, we walking around Left Rack City talking about singing, you know, though I did. Like, but yeah, it was the sound of music. It was all about that. And then, you know, we became the Von Trapps. It was all about the Von Trapps and the Jacksons. Nobody else mattered.
And the Huxtables.
And the Huxtables. Yeah.
I love it. So in 2012, you appeared in Patrick Ian Polk's The
Yes.
Skin.
That was my first thing back in acting.
Yeah.
Was The Skinny, Patrick Ian Polk's The Skinny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so then a few years later. So tell us, how do you get to Empire?
How do you get to Empire? I started originally I was cast in a film from Patrick named Blackbird.
Yes.
And then, as so many times independent films do, we lost our funding. So that film didn't end up getting done. So fast forward about 2 years later, I was working like 3 different jobs at the time. I was working a day job and I was working 2 night jobs. And Patrick hit me. It was like, there's this movie called The Skinny. No, I'm lying, I hit him.
Okay.
And because I had heard about it. He had like tweeted or something. Like, I don't think we had Instagram back then. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember there was a social media
posted,
moment.
yeah, it was a social media moment. And so I hit him and I was like, yo, like, I'm lying again, I didn't hit him. I made up an email, because you know, I had a fake email, you know, that was my manager, that I didn't really have. So I emailed him, I submitted my client, Jussie Smollett. and got an audition to play Magnus. And I went in, and like a bunch of auditions happened, and I got the role. And then after that, I did like the Mindy Project, a couple guest stints on the Mindy Project, and what was the show? Revenge.
Yeah.
And then I saw my older sisters, always my older sisters, it's always Jazz. We have this sibling group text chat.
Okay.
And she sent an article, an announcement from like Variety or Hollywood Reporter saying that Lee Daniels and Danny Strong, fresh off of their success of The Butler, were gonna do a hip hop musical for Fox. And I was like, so I called up my managers, who I really had, and I was like, what's good? Because they're gonna be black. They're gonna have music. I'm black and I'm musical, so what's good? And then they sent me the script and they're like, tell us what character that you wanna go up for. And I read the script and I'm like, Jamal? Right. Like what? And I'm like, well, we didn't wanna assume. And I DM'd Lee Daniels, slid up in his DMs. Never question the power of the DM. Okay? You just gotta be clean with your dirty messages, okay? Like, send it, jump. So I sent him, I had cut my hair, in the script it said, like he had hair or something like that. So I sent him a picture in his DM. Rewind to the Skinny premiere. Lee Daniels presented the Skinny, and he gave a special award it was in LA. It was during Outfest.
Okay.
And so he gave this award. He said this whole thing about, he gave this beautiful speech giving an award to Patrick Ian Polk. And he said, you know, he's so brave with the stories that he tells about, you know, LGBTQ people of color. And I am not there yet, but I'm getting there. And my mom was sitting next to me. She whispered so loud. She said, he's gonna work with you. And I was like, Mama, please, that's so embarrassing. And then fast forward 2 years later, I DM'd him. And I said, I know that you get this all the time, but I'm a musician, I'm an actor, I'm a dancer, I'm a singer. I am Jamal Lyon in more ways than one. And he wrote back, and he was like, he said, casting will be in touch, peace.
Very late.
So late. And that was that, and I went in and I sang X Factor by Lauryn Hill. And I always close my eyes when I sing a cappella. It's just what I did. So I went in for Leah Daniels Butler, who's Lee's little sister, who casts all of his projects. And she said to come back the next Monday and sing for Lee and read for Lee. And I did. He told me, open your eyes when you sing. And so I'm like, it could all be so simple. And then I'm like, and I'm closing my eyes, I feel myself. And when I leave, I'm like, I still have this on video, like I videotaped myself after each audition. One day it'll be a documentary, where I was just like, I feel like I fucked up. I feel like he's gonna think that I don't take direction well. He's gonna, you know, I hope that I didn't lose this opportunity because of this, because this was that moment. You ever have that moment where you're just like, but I know that this is mine. Like I know I've gone after other things. I've felt like I could get something else, but I know in my spirit, I don't know what it is, something is happening. This is mine. Ain't nobody else's. So go find another job. So I just went after him, and he hit me up, and he said, call me. And so I called him, and he said, I'm convinced of you as an actor. I'm convinced of you as a vocalist. I'm not convinced of you as a performer because you did not perform. He's like, perform! So I had to go back.
Literally.
And he's like, sing that song. What's that white dude that's married to Paula? And I'm like, Robin Vick? And, like, that's how he explained what Blurred Lines was. So I had to go back in there and I sang Blurred Lines, and my whole mission was to make him uncomfortable. So when I sang, I looked him right in the eyes, and I sang the entire time. I would not look away, even if he looked away. I would look him right in the eyes. Motherfucker, give me this motherfucking job. And then he said, I'm convinced, let's go get you this job. And then 3 auditions later, it was 7 altogether, but 3 auditions later, I was at the beach when I knew that it was the day for the network to look at the tapes. And I was at the beach and I lied to everybody, and I was just like, I have such a busy day so that nobody would call me or text me and be like, yo, what's good, you here yet? I stayed at the beach and I prayed and I meditated for 4 hours. And I did not pray for the role. I said, God, fill me with your spirit. Whatever it's supposed to be, let it be. If it's the other amazing 2 other amazing actors that are up for it, let it be theirs. I feel that it's mine, so let me see. Got sick of sitting at the damn beach. Got in my car, and I'm like, I'm gonna keep on praying to you while I'm driving. And I was on the phone with my mom, and then I got a text message from Lee, and I pulled over, and it said, it's capital Y-O-U.
Wow.
I still get emotional when I tell the story, because that's the great thing about Lee, is like he gives you a story to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I wrote him back and I said, Lee. It was like, Lee. And then he wrote back, yes, Jamal. And I remember going to pick up my mom, going to my apartment. My 2 brothers came over and we just popped bottles. And I remember getting really drunk that night and just being like, getting emotional, just being like, I just hope, because my dreams are so vivid. Like when I sleep, they feel so real that it's overwhelming sometimes. And so I was like, I just hope that I don't go to sleep, and like, I hope that I don't wake up and this is just a dream. I just pray that this is real. And then Lee Dan, it was posted on Instagram, a picture of me, and it said, A Star Is Born.
Woo!
And I went to sleep drunk and kept waking up like 5 different times, checking Instagram to make sure that it wasn't a dream. And it wasn't. And 5 seasons later, I'm here talking to Neil.
Amazing, right? I love this story. You know, I've never heard your story. This is beautiful. Okay, so when did you meet Taraji?
I met Taraji at the reading. I had met her at the premiere for Idris Elba's movie Mandela. And Alfred Woodard, who's one of my godmothers, like I had breakfast with Alfred the morning that I tried out for Empire, the first audition, and she prayed with me. And that's another thing. It's crazy how the world works, because 4 years to the day that I first auditioned on Empire and I had breakfast with Alfred and she prayed with me, 4 years to that day, I was directing Alfred Woodard in Empire. Come on, Jesus. I met Taraji but really met her. Alfred had introduced me. It's crazy the things that people say. She randomly said, Empire was nowhere on the table. She randomly said, you 2 should work together sometime. And we were like, and I was like, yeah! And Taraji was like, And so I met Taraji, really met her at the audition. And we just talked. Like, we were supposed to go into the room and run our lines. We just talked. For like 20 minutes, we just talked. And we did not run the lines. And then we went back into the room and ran the lines, and it was Cookie and Jamal. And then Terrence, I saw him, he said, the first thing he said, he's like, well, this Jamal, what the fuck we doing? What the fuck we doing? This Jamal, let that nigga have a job. And so they just got us on camera just talking, Terrence and I, and we were just sitting there talking, and we just had chemistry, and that was that.
So what have you learned from Terrence as an actor?
Okay, as an actor.
As an actor. Because I'm like, tell other stuff if you want.
I learned that 1 + 1 ain't really 2. We gotta change our molecular structures. No, what have I learned? I always say this. I feel like Terrence Howard is our modern day Marlon Brando. And I feel like I'd love to sit at a point, obviously I'd just love to sit with Al Pacino, period. But I'd love to sit with Al Pacino and be like, what was Marlon Brando like on The Godfather? You know what I'm saying? Because in my dreams, I feel like he was like Terrence. You know what I'm saying? Slightly misunderstood, a beautiful person, crazy as hell, comes from Planet Terrence, comes from Planet Brando. But he's the most sensitive, personable person. I know, you know what I'm saying? And he's just honest, and he's supportive, and if he doesn't know something, he's not afraid of admitting that he doesn't know something. I respect him a great deal. Yeah.
And then Lee. I mean, Lee is such a character and larger than life. So as a director, and in the beginning, and as a gay man, what did he infuse into your craft?
Honesty. That's all he wants. Like if someone tells the smallest lie, he's done with you. It's true. He knows how to find the beauty in what society would call the ugliest moments. He knows how to find the beauty in what some pieces or parts of the world would think are ugly. He finds abilities in what, I get emotional about it. He finds abilities in what some would call your disability. And for that, I feel like you just look at what he's done with people from Gabby and Precious, Monique and Precious, Mariah and Precious, me in Empire, Oprah in The Butler. He knows how to strip you down somehow while holding up a mirror to you and being like, look at yourself. That's not really you. Strip that down. Oh my God, more? Shit. You know what I'm saying? And all he does is, in the middle of my first audition when I was reading, he jumped in, he's like, you're acting, cut it in half. I'm like, bitch. In the middle of the damn audition. But he wants that realness. And when he doesn't get it, you will hear it. So, as a man, as a black man, as a gay man, as a black gay man, all these damn things that we got on our shoulders. He just wants you to be honest, and that I can never, ever, ever argue with. He's everything.
Talk about the challenges, or it might not be challenges, but just because you're a gay man, you're not just like, well, I'm just being a gay man character. You're still
Thank you for saying that. Nah, man, that's true though, because I do feel honestly sometimes like, I do feel that sometimes when you are an openly gay artist, playing an openly gay artist, people have this idea that you're not doing the work, that I somehow roll out of bed and I'm just like, just gotta be myself. No. Jamal's story is not my story. Like, I did not grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I didn't grow up with one motherfucking spoon. I have worked for every single thing that I have. No one has worked for me. You know what I'm saying? People have worked with me, but nobody has worked for me to get what I have, to get what I'm going to have. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we have to be aware that it's interesting, because I do wonder sometimes, so interesting that you asked that, because I do wonder sometimes if an artist if Tom Hanks was openly gay when he did Philadelphia, would people give him the credit that he deserves for the role that he played?
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know what are the other movies, but you get my point. It's this idea that somehow we don't have to do the work. I'm doing the work every single day that I wake up. I have to make myself into Jamal. I don't wake up as him, I wake up as me. You know what I'm saying? So we share a similar sense of loyalty. We share a similar heart. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we're not the same. And you can see any other role. If we were the same, then you would see Jamal in the other roles that I played, and you don't. So I do think that there is something to be said about, take note of that, take notice of that, of, you know, you can't just think that because I love the same type of wave that Jamal loves, that somehow that is a reason to just be like, and Jamal. Like, it don't work like that. This shit is hard. It's a blessing and I'm grateful, but it's hard, and there's work that has to be done as an artist.
And it was also evident, I think, in Marshall, right, when you're playing Langston Hughes, and it's like, I was like, because I know you, so I'm like, that's definitely he's acting. Because that was so, you don't have all those flourishes.
No, darling, all of this.
Yeah.
No. That's not good.
That was really, really awesome.
Thank you.
So you then get to bring your love of music into Empire, and you did a deal with Columbia Records.
Mm-hmm.
What is it like being an acting dream come true job that you also get to pursue your music passion?
Was that me? It's one of the greatest blessings of my life. You know, I don't know exactly why I am here talking to you right now. I don't know exactly why people know my name now. And I don't fully understand. Like when I see there's Sweet Pea and Debbie and like the whole crew that is like, they started like the first fan pages for me when Empire came on. And I'm so grateful for that, but I don't fully understand it. You know what I'm saying? And I always go back to, I love you too, I do. I always go back to the realness of my life and what was your question again?
Bringing your passion to music.
Oh, okay, good.
The grand blessing.
The music has always been a piece of who I am. You know, with acting, it's about finding a piece of yourself in other people that are the characters that you're playing. But with music, and sometimes it's nice because you can like hide behind a character. You know what I'm saying? I can talk about things as Jamal that I might not be brave enough to talk about. And I consider myself to be really brave, but I might not be brave enough to talk about certain things. But I can do it through Jamal, which is great. But with my music, it's like sitting there butt ass naked, just being like, so. Yeah. It's like, well, shit. Like, this is different. This is raw, and it's. But I think of music like I had released my EP, and it went like triple plastic. Before Empire was even thought of, and I had to take it down. I just think about where my life has gone and why it's gone there. And my car was repossessed when I booked Empire. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to do the pilot of Empire, and these motherfuckers had just taken my car, and I'm sitting there trying to collect my per diem to pay for my car. Like shit is real. You know what I'm saying? That moment, I would say this, that moment where you got $17 in your account, you gotta find 3 so you can deposit and take a 20 out. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't understand fully why all of these incredible blessings have happened, but I fully embrace it, and that's why it's so important to me to do it right. That's why it's important to me to leave Columbia Records, you know what I'm saying, and start my own record company and sign a deal where I own my masters 100%.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, and I do, because at the end of the day, I've been given this platform and I fully embrace the idea that I worked for it, but there's a million people on the planet Earth who have worked their asses off. There's a million people who deserve it, you know what I'm saying? But here I am, so I gotta do something with it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta make people hear me. Not hear me, but hear what I wanna say. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the music was such an icing on the beautiful cupcake of my life at the moment, because I'm able to do the things that I love just mixed up in this big ass gumbo pot of Empire. Like who gets to talk about, who gets to be honest about who they are and have a vehicle like Empire make it easier for me to be honest about who I am. You know what I'm saying? While singing. The fuck? That's amazing. I hope there's not kids in here. I'm so sorry.
Too late now.
Cheering. I'm sorry.
But you know, it's impressive to me when I think of the songs that I remember from the show, right? So I think about Beautiful,
Which I wrote.
which you wrote. But the message in that song is so powerful.
Well, it was written for Gabby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people know that. I've said that, but I don't think a lot of people know it was written for Gabby Sullivan, and she's one of my best friends. And, you know, she was on the phone with me, and she was talking about, like, people are so mean online sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like, you try to brush it off, but it's like, you human beings, and it does hurt your feelings. So we were on the phone, we were talking about that, about something that someone had said or whatever. And I'm sitting there with Jim Beans, and I got off the phone, and he had this guitar, this, and we were like, and then I was like, sometimes you feel insecure, trust me, babe, I understand. And I was like, because we had just had that conversation of like, I get it, for different reasons, you know what I'm saying, that I'm insecure, different reasons that people come at me, but I get it. And that song was written for her, and has, to this day, is still one of the biggest songs on Empire.
Okay, so then Conqueror with
Estelle.
Yeah. Talk to me about that. I love that song.
That was Estelle's song already, and Estelle is a really good friend. And they came and they brought it, and they said, we want you to do it as a duet with Estelle. So of course I called him Estelle. I'm like, yo, like what? And we did the song, and it's incredible the amount of people that have come up to me and that write me. And one woman said that it was the only song that she listened to on repeat during her chemo. You know what I'm saying? Like, my dad died of cancer, so it's like that type of shit, like really. My father died the day, that's the other thing that was crazy. My father died the day that Empire first aired on television.
Oh, wow.
Y'all, I thought I had been jumped into the Illuminati and didn't know it. I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, I didn't get it. I really didn't. But he passed at 5:58 a.m. January 7, 2015, and Empire aired 9 p.m. January 7, 2015. But, you know, he saw the pilot, it was the last thing he watched. My father and I, this is like completely sideways from Conqueror, but it is a part of being a conqueror. My father and I had a very similar relationship to Lucius and Jamal. And people didn't know that during the first season that while Jamal was dealing with the fact that his father was dying, Negro didn't really die. But while Jamal was dealing with his father dying, my father was dying, you know? During that entire first season, my father was dying, and I knew it. So it's just, you know, that was Conqueror. Conqueror was, no, Nothing to Lose with Terrence was the first song that I recorded after my father passed. Yeah, which is beautiful. Yeah.
And then, so your new music, I mean, Freedom, is, again, these very bold, liberating, inspiring statements. But tell me how Freedom came together.
I fell in love, and for the first time, it was like, I just didn't care who knew. I never cared, like all throughout this whole thing, I never cared if people knew my sexuality. I don't care about that. But I'm very protective of who I'm with. You know what I'm saying? You can know his gender, but you don't need to know his face or name. You know what I'm saying? But I just didn't care, and I started, I don't know, like Freedom came along, and one of my really good friends, Brian Terrell Clark, he wrote it, and he was actually on the show on Empire. We were driving around. He was playing me all these songs for my album, and I heard Freedom, and I was like, that's the one. Like, that's the one. So when I recorded it, I then did the video, and I directed the video, and it was starring Tika Sumpter and Cynthia Erivo. And basically they're playing me and my dude. it was just this thing where I wanted to show a couple who was a same-sex couple. And I didn't want it to be me, because for my first video, I didn't want anybody from Empire on it, including me. So I had someone else do it, because I wanted it to be about the song, I wanted it to be about the video, and I wanted to show a same-sex couple doing the things that every single couple does. The getting ready in the morning, the watching cartoons in bed, the going for a road trip, the having a get-together at the house, the leaving with a cup of coffee in your hand, the brushing your teeth, the taking a bath. All of the things that every single person, because I feel like change comes through your heart. And if you can watch something, or you can hear something, and you can feel it, then I got your ass. If I can get you, here we go. You know what I'm saying? So that's all Freedom was. That's what it will always be. Every single time that I sing that song, at the point where I'm like, I don't care what they say, 'cause I know who we are to each other, 'cause I know who we are. I'm always get so emotional because those words to me mean more than anything. I don't care what they say. I know who we are to each other. I know who we are. It's like freedom when you're with me. And to me, like, that's love.
Okay, last song, Hurt People.
Yeah.
I saw you perform it in the spring, and the performance is amazing, and the song is amazing, but you talked about it before you sang it, and it just resonated with me about like we hurt people because we're hurt, and like how do you break that cycle? So how did that song come about?
Again, Jim Beams, who produced and co-wrote You're So Beautiful with me, and is literally like my brother now. He was the only producer on season 1. He was under Team Timbaland, and Timbaland was the executive music producer, and he was the producer that did all of the music. And he wrote Good Enough. He wrote, that fool, I don't know, he's like a one-man band. He sits there, and I'm just like, so you did Good Enough, and then you flipped around and did Drip Drop? Like, okay. And you hear his damn demo, like, he's like, Dread, Drop, Dread, Dread, Drop. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, he sounds like us. So, you know, we were both going through our own personal things, and we were talking about this one particular person that he was dealing with, and I was just like, we started talking about how hurt people, and they don't even know why. You know what I'm saying? They're just hurting people because they're so hurting. And then I was like, yeah, we understand that, but that don't make that shit all right. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, because they ass is just like, they leave you empty inside, and then they say goodbye, and we're like, and that's a song. So we turned into hurt people, they don't know why. Hurt people, they don't even try. You know what I'm saying? And it just became Hurt People. And then when we recorded it, I knew we were gonna do the video in South Africa. I said right before the song was mixed or comped or anything, I said in the studio, I said, we're gonna do this video, I'm directing, and it's gonna be done in South Africa. Because I tried to think of the person who is the person that is the epitome of someone hurting you, but they found a way to turn that hurt and turn that pain into joy and light and something positive. And to me, that's Madiba, that's Nelson Mandela, and Winnie Mandela. And so we went to South Africa. It took a year, y'all. Like, I recorded the song. Everybody at the record label flipped. I was still with Columbia at the time. They flipped, they loved the song. And they were like, we should put this rapper on it. And I'm like, I mean, I have songs that like I would love a rapper to be on, but why that? We just think I know would make it more mainstream. And I'm like, okay. And the rapper that they asked was like a teeny bopper rapper, and I'm like, but I'm in my 30s and I'm talking real shit. Like, much respect to them. Like, I get down with it also, but like, nah. And we ended up. And so it took us a year getting out of the contract, doing all of that type of stuff. Now I gotta remember. I hope that Columbia don't remember that they heard that song. I'm gonna be like, that's ours. No, but but we did the video in South Africa. We did it at Constitution Hill, where Mandela was held before being transferred to Robben Island. We shot all through Soweto, and it was the greatest experience of my life. And to me, it was, when I say at the end, it was the lyric was added at the end after the song was already recorded and everything, where I say, I ain't hurt no more. And to me, that kind of just tied it up all in a nice package in a bow to be like, we don't have to do this. And people are always like, how do we end the cycle by ending it? You know what I'm saying? People try to, my mother would always say, she's like, you know, usually the simplest answer is usually the right one. And it's like, how do we stop? By stopping. How do I stop being evil and an asshole? By stop being like Donald Trump. That's it's just, you know, everybody, and we as quote unquote oppressed people have to make sure that we don't want to have someone to oppress. And all too often, we need someone to oppress, and that's not okay. So, you know, that's what Hurt People is about.
So we're going to take some questions from the audience.
Oh, good.